All right, we are here. Oh, I feel like Father Mike Schmitz right now, where it's like, you're talking a little bit and then you just like, you start. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, let me press this button. Hey everybody, Sir Topher here. All right, so this is the first video, and today I want to talk about a superhero that some of you may know. His name is Spider-Man. And he is actually a really interesting example for us to examine how an ordinary life can turn into an extraordinary story. So, I like stories. I like storytelling. I like the structure of story. Every good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And stories are powerful. The stories we tell and the stories we listen to can shape the way that we see the world. We have a lens, and even influence the way we live our lives. So today I want to look at the story of Spider-Man and how he faces dragons of temptation and lies. Because every superhero faces dragons. Now, in storytelling, it is very common for a hero to start out as a very ordinary person. They live their normal life. They go to school. They go to work. They hang out with friends. Nothing too exciting. That's just ordinary life. And then suddenly something happens. In storytelling, this moment is called the inciting incident. It is the moment that pushes that hero into their adventure. Something unexpected happens, something outside their control, and now their life will never be the same. And so for Peter Parker, that moment comes when he is bitten by a radioactive spider. Peter Parker is just a normal high school student. He's smart, a little nerdy. He likes photography. But one day during a school trip, he is bitten by a genetically modified spider. And suddenly something begins to change. The venom enters his body, and Peter discovers that he now has abilities that no human should have. He becomes stronger. He becomes faster, more agile. He can climb walls. He can sense danger before it happens. He now has a superpower, a great power. But here is the important part. The real story of Spider-Man is not about his powers. It's about what he chooses to do with them, because power always attracts dragons. Now, as Peter begins to discover his abilities, he is faced with three very real dragons. Three dragons to focus on in this episode, and they are the ancient Christian tradition. We call them the world, the devil, and the flesh. And you can actually see all three of these dragons appear in the Spider-Man stories. So the first dragon is the world. The world around him begins to speak. In the Spider-Man story, this dragon is represented by J. Jonah Jameson and the Daily Bugle, the newspapers, the headlines, the public opinion. The world begins to tell a story about Spider-Man and who he is. Some praise him, some fear him, some accuse him. The world is loud, and the world constantly tries to tell us who we are, who we're supposed to be. So the second dragon appears in the form of the Green Goblin. And this dragon represents something darker. This dragon represents the devil. In one of the most powerful moments in the film, the Green Goblin tempts Spider-Man with an offer. He tells him that together we can rule the city. They'll be able to control everything: power, glory, dominion. In other words, the Green Goblin is whispering the same lie that has been whispered to humanity for thousands of years. You could have it all. You could run the world. You could be powerful. And that brings us to the third dragon, the dragon of the flesh. Because even though Spider-Man has incredible abilities, the greatest battle he faces lies within. Early in the story, Peter is tempted to use his powers for himself, for money, for fame, for recognition, for pleasure, for power. The flesh whispers to him, use your gifts for yourself. And this is where the real battle begins. But here is something fascinating. The battle Spider-Man faces is not a new battle. In fact, this same battle appears in a much older story, a story found in the Gospel of Matthew. In Matthew chapter 4, we see Jesus being tempted in the desert. After fasting for 40 days, Jesus is approached by the devil, and the devil attacks him using the same three dragons. First comes the flesh. The devil tells Jesus to turn stones into bread. In other words, satisfy your hunger. Use your power to serve yourself. But Jesus refuses. He says, man shall not live by bread alone. So next comes the world. The devil takes Jesus to a high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world and all the glory. And he says, all of this could be yours if you bow down and worship me. Power, authority, dominion, the exact same temptation the Green Goblin offers Spider-Man. But Jesus refuses again. And finally, the devil tries to twist truth itself, tempting Jesus to test God. But Jesus stands firm. Every temptation, every lie, every dragon, Jesus confronts them with truth, and the devil flees. So I want to ask a question. What is that? What is this story? What do these stories mean for us? Because Spider-Man's story, Jesus' temptation in the desert, are not just ancient stories or superhero movies. They reveal actually something about our own battle. Every one of us will face these same dragons, the world, the devil, and the flesh. And those dragons all try to do the same thing. They try to confuse us about who we are, our identity. When Jesus is tempted in the desert, the devil begins with the question, if you are the Son of God. He questions his identity. The enemy begins attacking the identity. He distorts the identity, the truth. He distracts, he discourages. But the truth is this. We are children of God. We are part of this great family of dragon slayers. We are a part of this great family, and we are his children. And so just like Spider-Man has to choose what to do with the power he was given, every day we must choose what we will do with the gifts God has given us, the gifts and talents that God has given us. Will we give in to the dragon, or will we slay them? And until next time, stay holy and slay dragons!
Walking through the silence and shadows stretching across the land, whispers riding desert wind.